We're going to do this. We're going to have the song Great I Am said there's a war going on. But how many know it's not ours to fight? How many know we don't have to fight like we used to? When you get from milk to meat, you learn to fight a little different. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble already. I just got up here. I said when you get from milk to meat, you fight a little different. So I'm going to referee this match real quick. If I could get my announcers and my fighters. Let's go, Deacon Bell. I mean my commentators.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's title fight. Tonight's fight is scheduled for 1 round. In the first corner, we have the accuser of the brethren.
Boo!
Walking to and fro, seeking whom he may devour.
In the next corner, we have the child of God.
Yeah!
Steve, is this the same child of God that has been losing lately? Because he's been fighting in his own strength.
Yes, it is. And to be honest, this isn't even his fight. The Lord is supposed to be fighting this.
Well, Steve, I talked to him earlier, and he's telling me that he has a new way to win. He says that he has a different fighting style. He told me that he has help.
Hey, come on in, child of God, accuser. Welcome back to the ring. Listen up. I want a good, clean fight. No bell yet. I want a good, clean fight. No hits below the belt, no cheating, no interference from any outside entity. Is that going to be a problem for any of you? No. All right, touch gloves. Come out, fight.
What in the world is a child of God doing here?
It seems that he is winning without even swinging.
Huh.
How can you win without swinging?
I don't know, but he has his hands up. Is this a victory position?
No. I've seen this before. It's surrender. Someone else is fighting for him.
So you mean to tell me that he surrendered and he won without even having to swing? You mean to tell me, thank you, he didn't get hit at all, and he got the victory, thank you, and he got the victory, but he didn't swing at all. I'm going to keep saying that till somebody get it. You mean he came under attack, but this time he wasn't fighting in his own strength. You notice on the match it said that the fight wasn't his anyway. But do we know that whoever match it was showed up anyhow? Because surrender means to yield to the power of another. Y'all give it up for the child of God finally winning because he finally got it. Guess what? When you finally get it, you can finally win. Fighting in his own strength. The Lord has been dealing with me, and Deacon Bill, those pictures can stay up for the whole time if you can get those up, because I want this to be clear. He's been dealing with me a lot lately about a heart of surrender. A position of surrender, a posture of surrender. If you saw the fighter on one side, that he had a posture of surrender. And how many know that your hands can't surrender unless your heart is surrendered? But I come to tell you today, if you look at the middle screen and look at what the search criteria was, you look at a position of surrender. And I want to address the outside screens. It seems to me, let me get down here and see if I can see it where you see, but it seems to me that the position of surrender is the same as the position of victory. Can everybody see that? Whew, and logically that don't make sense, does it? So you're trying to tell me a position of surrender is the same position as a position of victory. If you can yield to the power of another, because it's not your fight. The Lord said, you hold your peace, I'll fight for you. Our church today say that I've already won. So that means I don't have to swing. And the people of God are tired and fatigued and worn out because they are trying to figure out spiritual battles with natural eyes. And they are trying to win spiritual battles with natural means. And we are wearing ourselves out. But the position of surrender is the same as the position of victory. Because, see, we worn out because we wonder how we going to make the provision be made. How we going to make the deliverance take place. How we going to make the pain stop. How we going to fill the void. But I come to tell you today that this is a season of battle where the gloves are coming off. Tell your neighbor the gloves coming off this season. I'm tired of swinging. I'm tired of winning and trying to fight in my own strength, but the gloves are coming off this season. Do I have anybody that's going to take the gloves off this season and let God bring the victory like he promised you in his word? The gloves are coming off this season. If you turn with me to Exodus 17, we'll be reading verses 8 through 16 for your hearing. When you get there, let me know that your gloves are off. Say the gloves are coming off this season. I can hang up the gloves because I don't have to fight this. This is not my fight. Not in my strength, not my will, not my way, so it's not my win. Exodus, the 17th chapter. I'll be reading from the New King James Version starting at verse 8. And it reads, Now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, Choose us some men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hands. So Joshua did as Moses said, and he fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Somebody say they went up. And so it was that when Moses held his hands up, say his hands up, that Israel prevailed. And when he let him down his hands, Amalek prevailed. I'm going to read that one more time for you. That when Moses held up his hands, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hands, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. But somebody say his hands still didn't come down. And Aaron and Hur supported. How many know that's our role as sheep to the shepherd? Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in the book. Write it in the book and recount it. That means say it over and over. And recount it in the hearing of Joshua. In other words, I want you to tell the person that's been swinging something. I'm talking to the surrendered. I got a message for you to give to the swinger. He said, recount it in the hearing of Joshua that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called his name Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner. For he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. You may be seated in the presence of God. The gloves are coming off this season. The gloves are coming off this. Can I teach a little bit this morning? Is that all right? Can we have class? Can I teach? Okay. So if we look at the context of this passage and look at what happened before we get to Rephidim, when the children of Israel made it in, if you go back to Exodus 16, you'll see that when the people had come out of Egypt, when they got to a place that they were hungry, so they had a problem, they had a need, and we see that God met that need of hunger with manna from heaven. So he provided for them. And then as they progress, they come to a place, and now they're full, but they're thirsty. And all they have out here is a rock. No well, but a rock. So Moses, he's a young fighter now. In this part of Moses' life, to bring water out the rock, he had to strike it. He had to swing something. So God gives them manna from heaven, and Moses comes and he strikes the rock, and water comes out. So now they are full, their thirst is quenched, and they arrive at Rephidim. Somebody say at Rephidim. See, the word Rephidim means a place of rest. Can I teach a little bit? So they full, they thirst is quenched, and now they at a place of rest, and here come Amalek. The enemy will always come to disturb your rest. He will always come to disturb your peace. But can I take it a little further? So now you know that this was an unprovoked attack. It wasn't send word to Amalek and tell him to meet us down at Rephidim. This was an unprovoked attack to disturb the people of God's rest. But Amalek, I just want to give people a little perspective today. Amalek means dweller in a valley. So Rephidim is a place of rest. Amalek means dweller in a valley. A valley, by definition, is somebody say a low place. It's a low place between two hills or mountains. So a low place in between two high places. Is everybody with me? So my place of rest is in a high place. But the dwellers, that means they stay in a low place. Dwellers in a valley. Can I put this in perspective for somebody that don't know how to put the attack of the enemy in perspective? If somebody got to come up to get to you, they not on the level that you on anyway. Do I have any people? Because the only way to get out of valley is to go to a mountain. So even to get to you, he had to come up to the level that you on. Put the attack in perspective. Low life, low level. You got to even get up here to get to me. I think the word they use now, that's petty stuff. That's little stuff. And you giving the attack a position higher than where it dwells in. Amalek is a dweller in a low place, Bishop. That means he stay there all the time. And he got to come up. The only way to get out of valley is to come up to a hill or to come up to a mountain. So we got to do what Moses did in this passage. So Moses said, they come up to Rephidim, I'm going to go up a little higher. Yeah. Is it anybody that's ready this season to go up a little higher? Amen. They had to come up to get to your level, but you got the ability to come up a little higher. Dweller in a valley, come to attack your place of rest. Go up a little higher. See, I'm talking about a little higher where you can't hear the chatter. A little higher where they can't stab you in the back. Come on, somebody. I'm talking about a little higher. You got to get above that. Am I talking to anybody that's ready to come on up a little higher? I'm talking about to heights where problems can't reach. I'm talking about to heights where lack can't go. Somebody yell back to me and say, I'm going up a little higher. So we got a little more climbing to do to get out of that valley. And see what it does. What it does, going up higher, let me tell you, this gives you the advantage because it changes what's defined as your vantage point. If the enemy is at this level and you rise up above where he is, a vantage point by definition is a place where you have an advantageous perspective or viewpoint. Can I teach a little bit? Advantageous. That means I can see the attack, but I can see how to win. That means, so you mean to tell me, Bishop, rising up, let me see it all? Yes, sir. You mean I can see the enemy coming from afar off if I go up a little higher? It's stuff that I can't see if I don't rise up a little high. If I stay on the level where Amalek is, I lose my advantageous perspective. Whew. Can we go on a little more? So it said advantageous perspective or viewpoint. A good viewpoint will cause you to see things that you would normally miss. Can I talk about it? 2 Kings 6:8. You don't have to go to it, Deacon Bill. The king of Syria wanted to attack the king of Israel. And he said, I'm going to hide my army and I'm going to set up camp in such and such place, is what the text say, this place or that place. And it says that every time they got ready to try to attack, the Israelites knew their plan. Am I right, Bishop? Is that what it said? So it said that they knew the plan. So the king is frustrated. He said, which one of y'all on the enemy side is helping them? And they said, King, none of us is helping. But the Lord keeps showing Elijah. The Lord keep letting Elijah see and hear what you talk about in your chambers. So when the enemy is having meetings about me, if I'm up a little higher, come on, somebody. Let me get back to my note. If I'm up a little higher, the God will show me what you're going to do first. So see, this is the difference, and we're going to talk about this. This is the difference in a sight walker and a faith walker. See, what the king did, he said, find where he is. The one who God's showing this stuff, find out where he is so we can go down there and tear him up. So they said, Elijah is in Dothan. And he said, okay, they went by night, Bishop. It said they went by night and surrounded the camp, is what it says. So Elijah's servant came out in the morning. And he said, oh, master, we are surrounded. It said, alas, master, what are we going to do? And now it seems as though he should know after being around somebody that's got a different viewpoint, it seems like his vision shouldn't be the same. So what he sees is surrounded. And what Elijah said, it seemed like he would come up with a plan, but Elijah started praying. He said, Lord, open my servant eyes. But he could already see, couldn't he? Didn't he see the enemy? There was a viewpoint that Elisha had in walking by faith that was different from the viewpoint than the servant had, and look at what he saw in front of him. So Elijah, instead of giving him a battle plan, he didn't say, oh, we're going to panic, let's run, let's dig a hole. He said, Lord, open his eyes. Lord, give him an advantageous perspective of what's actually going on. Give him a viewpoint to see what I see, because I'm a faith walker and he a sight walker. And it said that the Lord opened his eyes, Bishop. And it say, look, he looked at the same place that he had looked before. So the situation hadn't changed. The enemy's army had not gone away, but it said now that he looked, now that he had a different viewpoint, it said when he looked in the hills, he saw chariots and horses of fire surrounding him and Elijah where they were. So the Lord didn't ask him to strengthen him. He said, open his eyes. Because my perspective is up a little higher. Why do you think that Elijah didn't even panic when he came back in the house? I see different because I'm up a little higher. And if you look at servants and masters, and we're going to look at Joshua and Moses, not as people, but we're going to look at them as maturity levels. He said, Lord, open his eyes. Why would he address his eyes? Because he could see the enemy, but he couldn't see what the Lord was doing because he wasn't up high enough. Is there anybody that have had situations in their life? Because look at this. When he opened his eyes, he looked in the same direction. So that means what it once looked like to me, the same situation don't look the same now that I've come up a little higher. My viewpoint of this situation, of this attack, is not the same as it once was because I'm not a sight walker anymore. I'm a faith walker. I can see things different. So that means the army was always there, but he didn't have a viewpoint to see him. Let me get back, because I preached that right there. Let me get back to what I'm talking about. So what we got to do is we have to look at this as levels of faith and maturity, because he looked at the same situation. And when you look at the relationship that Moses and Joshua had, it was a relationship. It was a season of mentorship before the passing of a mantle. So, in other words, I need to impart some stuff and some strategy in you, because one day you're going to have to do this job, and I can't keep you fighting like you're fighting now. That same fight, the same fight that mama fought don't work for you. The same swing, because mama left-handed don't mean you're going to be left-handed. So the fight is not the same, but we going at it the same way. Each and every time, because we hadn't come up a little higher. And see, we got to look at this as a passing of a mantle. So Moses was implementing strategy in the midst of a situation. Y'all got to let that sink in. Because this Father's Day, right? Does our Father not do the same thing? Look at this battle. Didn't they have to go into something, or a situation where they needed victory in order to establish that the Lord is my victory? Does our Father not do the same thing? Does he not give you strategy through situations? Yes, does he not teach you in the midst of attacks? Let me tell you something. You will never go through an attack that's not attached to a lesson. That's the perspective of the attack. God wants to reveal something to you. You will never go through an attack that's not attached to a lesson. God got lesson plans, and guess what? It comes through situations, and it comes through attacks, so he can reveal that perspective of who he's trying to show you that he is. Every attack got a lesson or a revelation. And see, when you look at this, Joshua is down fighting. Moses is up, surrendered, praying. How many know a surrendered heart is a prayerful heart? So Joshua is how we handle things as babes in Christ. We down there swinging. And Moses is when maturity sets in and we fight different, because we know that we don't have to swing anymore. See Moses, look at this. Even Moses' own life. Oh yeah, watch this. Look, even Moses' own life will show you the dangers and the consequences of fighting and swinging how you used to swing. In Exodus 17, verse 1 through 7, Moses had to strike a rock. In other words, he had to swing at what was in front of him. And when you get to the book of Numbers, he missed the promised land because he should have matured to speaking to what he used to strike. So Moses is trying to tell Joshua, you swinging now because you're a babe. But when you come up a little higher, when you mature more in Christ, you're going to learn not to strike the way you used to strike. Wow. You're going to learn to win different. This is the season of gloves off. Because look, even Joshua was fighting now, but when they came to Jericho, did it say something about a sword and a shield, or did it say it came from a shout? This means that Joshua learned the lesson. So what Moses is trying to implement is Joshua is how we fight as babes in Christ. So with that being said, some of us are going to have to grow up. Because some of us still swingers. Some of us still try to do this in our own strength. Some of us try to provide for our own self and fix our own marriage, where you just need to go up a little higher. So in the season of gloves off, you got to grow up first. You got to grow up, they maturity levels. And see, at one point he was striking rocks, and then later he was punished because, you know what, later in life, you should not be on milk forever. So if you're still a striker, you might be still on milk. Moses got to a whole nother place, a whole nother level, and was still striking. And see, that's the thing. You can't hear when you're striking, because God said, speak to it. It's hard to hear swinging. It's hard to hear when you're swinging. And some of us have missed our strategy because we're so busy swinging, fighting the way we used to fight. Whew, ask your neighbor, are you a striker? Are you still a striker? You can't swing forever. They said, because, see, Moses fought this battle from a position of surrender. And that's what the hands up. What does the songwriter say? Hands up, hearts open wide as the sky. That's how Jesus take his place. That's how Jesus stepped in the ring for Trajan over here, because he had his hands up and his heart open wide, a surrendered heart. And that's how Jesus take his place. That's how you get the victory. And he said, surrender is to yield to the power of another, not the weakness. You won't yield to nobody that's less than you. Somebody that can't add, I won't let them take my math test. But I'll let a professor take it. Because he taught me, so I know that he knows. So I can yield my power to another. In other words, that's put it in God's hands. Take the gloves off and put them in God's hands. And if you don't think I'm telling the truth in the passage, whose posture controlled the tempo of the battle? Tell me where it said that a sword was tearing up Amalek. Tell me that the battle depended on that. When the battle fluctuated is when his hands came down. Not when his sword became dull, not when he dropped his shield, not when he dropped a spear, but when Moses surrendered, hands came down. That's what brought the victory. It didn't say anything about when Joshua put it in his right hand, he lost. And when he put the sword in his left hand, he's winning. It said when Moses' hands were up, Israel prevailed. And when they came down, Amalek, the dweller in the valley, got a hold to you. Watch this, Bishop. Before Moses went up, Amalek came up behind Israel. Somebody say behind. So before Moses could get into a position of surrender, Amalek defeated the people of Israel. They defeated the ones that tried to swing on their own. The stragglers that's not on this surrender ship. Whew. Before Moses went up a little higher to change the tempo of the battle, to shift the odds of the battle, Amalek defeated the people that fought in their own strength. And that's why some of us are losing battles that we were destined to win. That's why some of us are losing battles. Think about the ones who were defeated was the ones who tried to fight for themselves. Before the surrender got in position, before Moses could get up to the top of the hill, Amalek had already taken the ones who just swinging swords with no surrender. Surrender pushed that sword. Oh my God. Is anybody with me? Is anybody eating this bread? And so it said that they look up. See, because a natural swing can't stop a demon. A physical sword can't cut him. But a surrendered heart. Surrendered hands. Come on, somebody got to get this. Somebody other than me got to get this. Because look, see, God, what he told Joshua to choose some men. This is how you got to look at it. You choose different men when you on milk than you choose when you on meat. He said, Joshua, you choose you some men. Y'all go out and fight. I already got my team picked. I already know who going up with me, because every swinging sword is not a surrendered heart. So the same men Joshua picked, Bishop, to swing are not the same people that Moses picked to surrender. Because surrendered people run in different crowds than swingers. He said, you go pick out some men. I already got my team picked. I got 3 surrendered hearts up a little higher. So it don't matter how many swords and shield you got, because these surrendered hearts and surrendered hands got the victory already. Because, see, God don't need more than one. He just need the right one. He just need a surrendered heart and surrendered hands. Hold your peace, and he'll fight for you. That shows that it's a selection process. You got to ask Gideon about this. Because, see, when Gideon was still a sight walker, he thought he needed all 32,000, Bishop. And God kept cutting the army down. And look at this. The cut army is the one that won. Not the big army. So you can pick as many swingers and strikers as you want. But the victory came after the cut down. How many know that a surrender is a cut down? Because it'll cut the pride and you admitting to yourself that you're not equipped to win this battle. We so busy want to be strong. We want to be useful, but God desires somebody usable. Not useful, usable. A big, strong, buff dude, he's useful to me if somebody trying to fight me, but he's not usable because he think that he got it. Moses knew he didn't have it. He took 2 hand holders with him when he left. Somebody got to get this. He took 2 hand holders when he left because surrender hearts, they don't mind helping somebody else surrender. It said when his hands came down, it said they set him on a rock. So he sat, but he still surrendered. So I can stand and surrender. I can sit. That means I can get knocked down, but as long as I'm still surrendered. It said that Moses sat down and he kept his hands up. It said one on one side and the other on the other side. See, everybody want to be Moses and Joshua, but nobody want to be the help. Sometimes the surrender heart and surrender hand need help. But nobody want to be the help. If you look at the Bible, everybody wants the mantle passed to them. They want to be Moses, they want to be Joshua, but nobody want to be Joseph. You don't want to be second. You don't want to be the help. But how many know the Lord needs Joseph just like he needs Joshua? The mantle ain't for everybody to pass. Some of our jobs is to just keep the hands up. Heart open wide. At the sky. Well, see, nobody want to be Joseph, Bishop. Nobody want to do that. And that's a position of surrender, humility. Humility, that means to get under. Nobody want to do that. Nobody want to get, look, the Lord is my banner. That means for victory to come, I got to get under there. Nobody want to go down to come up. Nobody want to do that. But look at this. Everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. I want somebody to jump high without bending their knee, without going down first. I want somebody to do it. Prove me wrong. I want somebody to jump high without going low first. Y'all got to get this. I want you to stand there and keep trying. And that's how we look. When we not humble and we not surrender, that's how we look, trying to go higher. But you got to go lower before you can. Nobody want to get it. Y'all be seated. Y'all don't want to have church with me today. Y'all don't want to get this. And what I'm saying, you can't go up until you get under. Until you get surrender is saying, Lord, I'm at my limit. Now you pick up where I left off. You pick up where I left. I've tried to fix it. I've tried to mend it. I've tried to mold it. Now I'm giving it to you because you are qualified to do this. And I kept trying to, I ain't going to be before you. I know y'all ready to go eat for Father's Day, but I just want to drop off a little bread for you to take with you. And so what they did, they went on to victory. And it said that, now this is where it does talk about the sword. It said that Joshua defeated Amalek. But the text above that tells us that Moses' hands were responsible for the victory. And then it said, Bishop, it said that God told Moses to write this in a book. But the message was for Joshua. And I couldn't figure out why the Lord just didn't speak it to Joshua. Why would he tell Moses, you write this down and you recount it in the hearing of Joshua anytime the Lord tell you to write something down because you're going to need this later. He said, and I couldn't figure out why are you talking to Moses and not talking to Joshua? And then I looked at it. Joshua was busy swinging, so he couldn't hear as good. We call the Lord a strong tower, right? And on my cell phone, Bishop, the old school phones, the old school TVs, when the antennas are up, the reception is better. And the closer you are to the tower, the stronger the signal. I think fighting at a low level is not as high as surrender with my antennas up on the hill. So God spoke to the one who got the best reception. Y'all not with me. He spoke to the one who had the best reception, who could hear the clearest, because Moses had his antennas up. Joshua is fighting. Do you not know that it's a lot of noise going on when you physically fighting? That's it. It's a lot of turmoil going on. It's a lot of crowds around observing. But when you're in a higher place, when you're in a surrendered place, a higher place, God speaks to the one who got the best reception. So ask your neighbor, do you have your antennas up today? Because you know what? God gave the strategy, but you missed it. He told you how to win, but you missed it because you're fighting. He told you the plan, but you missed it because you're swinging. You missed it because you're striking. But Moses was at an advantageous perspective. His reception was better. And the Lord is saying that this is a season, and we want victory. In this season, we got to keep our antennas up. This is a season where we got to keep our antennas up. Like wives, you got to keep your antennas up for your husbands. Husband, you got to keep your antennas up for your wives. Workers, you got to keep your antennas up for your boss at work. We got to keep our antennas up for the president of this nation. We got to keep our antennas up for all the 7 mountains before we come into proximity to them. This is a season where if you want victory, you got to keep your antennas up. Because that's how you get the strategy. And that's how you hear clearer when you're up a little higher. Because most of the people that we are assigned to keep our antennas up are the ones that we're swinging at. Husband and wives are swinging at each other instead of. Family, parents, and children are swinging at each other instead of. And God says, sooner you stop swinging and get those antennas up. I got a strategy for you. I got a battle plan for you. I got victory for you. He said, come on and get under this banner. After this battle was won, it said that the Lord is my banner. Moses knew that. Moses knew that in his own strength this could not be done. Even though the Amalek came. See, Amalek, and I ain't even going to get into it, it's a constant struggle back from, because they descendants of Esau. It's a constant struggle between Jacob, the promise, and Esau, the one who gave it up. So any attack is a constant feud, because I'm pretty sure that we Caesar Abraham. Am I correct? And I'm pretty sure that our seed shall be blessed. I'm pretty sure that everything about us should be blessed. And I'm sure that the Lord said that he'll bless those that bless us. But you always got something to come trying to get the promise. Something trying to disturb you in your peace of rest. But God said, in this season, if you could just gloves off, then I can give you that strategy that I already gave you, but you've been missing. Because God ain't left you out there flapping. You just couldn't hear it because you out swinging. You out trying to fight stuff that you're not equipped to fight. If you looked at the introduction, the child of God showed up to a fight and the Lord was on the ticket to fight it. You showing up fighting battles that's not even yours. God said, in this season, we got to keep our antennas up. And he going to download strategy. He going to download blueprints. He going to download that plan that he have for you, that plan to prosper. But you have to have a surrendered heart, surrendered hands, and constantly. And you got to put people around you that when they can see that you swinging again, that they can hold your hands up. Because that's what's controlling the tempo of the battle. That's what's controlling the outcome of the battle. And if you begin fighting like Joshua, you ought to end up fighting like Moses. And if you ever want to check again, whether you on milk or meat, look at how you fight. Every time you want to check if it's more milk in the refrigerator than meat, look at how you fight. And God is saying the only way to win in this season is antennas up. What do you think the National Day of Prayer was? We had antennas up for the nation. Things started moving. It said when we thought that people were covered against the National Day of Prayer, when prayer opened our eyes up, it said that there were chariots and horses of fire. Why do you think that no weapon formed against you could prosper? Because there's more. This is what he told the servant. He said, there are more for us or with us than it is with them. And if your antenna's up, you don't get that. You don't get that. God bless y'all. Happy Father's